Dunchbags, what's going on? It's Landon Remixes here, and it is time for my review of the 7th studio album from Armin van Buuren, Balance. Armin van Buuren is a Dutch trance DJ and producer, has been in the game for a long time, has placed top 5 on DJ Mag's Top 100 DJs poll every single year since 2002, even placing number 1 for 4 years straight. Not that that poll means all that much anymore, but I'd like to think Armin was placing high up back when it actually mattered. On top of that, Armin's got his radio show, A State of Trance, aka ASOT, which is one of the most successful and longest running radio shows in dance music. I've never gotten all that much into A State of Trance, but I appreciate what Armin does with it, shining light on up-and-comers in the trance scene. I guarantee you a lot of people would not have careers if it weren't for him. My personal history with Armin van Buuren, though, well, let me tell you a story. It's 2013, I'm just about wrapping up my sophomore year of high school, and for the first time ever, I'm really starting to get into dance music. Listening to a lot of Knife Party, Avicii, Deadmau5, Hardwell, Swedish House Mafia, who had just recently broken up. At the same time, my older sister is also really getting into dance music, more specifically trance, which I had a really hard time getting into. When it came to the dance music that was being released around that time, I was much more into the big euphoric EDM drops, and trance is a much more soft-spoken genre, so it didn't really have a lot for me. So then, of course, my sister suggested Armin van Buuren to me, who was fittingly just about to put out his 5th studio album, Intense, a project that, needless to say, I ended up liking quite a bit. Sure, the album was a bit commercial compared to some of Armin's previous projects, but for someone like me who was really into the commercial side of EDM at that point, it served as a really nice gateway into Armin's kind of signature trance style. And furthermore, trance at large, Intense was really the album that made me start to appreciate trance for how breathtaking and euphoric it is. To this day, still one of my favorite trance albums, still absolutely adore songs like the title track, Beautiful Life, Pulsar, Sound of the Drums, Won't Let You Go. However, since Intense, Armin's music has ultimately failed to capture that same magic for me. Embrace, I thought, was okay, a lot more commercial than Intense, but it still visibly had Armin's footprint. But since then, to me, it's felt like Armin has just been making whatever he has to stay relevant, I guess. Dipping his feet into whatever sound happens to be trending at the time. For example, triplet bass, psytrance was all the hype for a little while, so we got songs like Great Spirit with Vini Vici, and then the solo blah blah blah. Calvin Harris saw a lot of unprecedented success going into funk on the song Slide and the accompanying Funk Wave Bounces album, so of course Armin had to try it himself on Sex, Love, and Water. I could keep going, but the point that I'm trying to make here is that this entire thing has just felt really inauthentic. But regardless of all of that, I did hold out a lot of hope for Balance. I mean, a 28-track double album that shows off both Armin's more commercial and genuine sides. In theory, it sounds amazing, like, sign me up. However, and I'm going to be kind of blunt about this, the result is awful. Not only does Balance not accomplish anything close to what I had hoped it would do, it pretty much accomplishes everything that I had feared for the future of Armin's music. He's especially guilty of this on the first half of the album, which I guess is its more pop side, but still it's worse than expected. Like I mentioned before, with those few in-between years, Armin is effectively dipping his toes into every possible trend he can on this side of the album. Blah 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 and Sex, Love, and Water are found on this side of the album, which I already talked about, but on top of that, he goes into melodic dubstep on Sucker for Love and Wild Wild Sun, does some generic melodic big room on Something Real, tropical house and dance hall on Phone Tone Down and Sunny Days. You've got some kind of Gorgon City styled pop house with a washed up singer on Unlove You. You've got Don't Give Up on Me, which sounds like it could have been ripped directly from Tritonal's first album. And then there's Don't Let Me Go, which sounds like a very clear Atmospheres ripoff. Really don't care for much of the music on this side of the album, except maybe Runaway, which reminds me a little bit of some of the music he was putting out on Intense. But you know, even regardless of that, I was still looking forward to hearing the second half of the album, hearing him take on a more genuine trance sound, and it honestly starts off pretty promising with La Résistance de l'amour in collaboration with Hard Rock Sofa's Shapov. The song sets a kind of epic and mysterious tone, which got me really excited to listen to the rest of the album, but then all my hopes were just completely shattered after that point with the coming of Million Voices, which goes right back into the generic melodic big room stuff. In fact, I'm pretty sure the song has the same exact progression as Million Voices by Otto Knows. After that comes Show Me Love in collaboration with Above and Beyond, which was a collaboration that I was extremely excited for. Above and Beyond put out one of my all-time favorite EDM albums, Group Therapy, so obviously this should have been a really huge collaboration, but then it ends up just being super stale and atonal. There's nothing really all that exciting about this song, except maybe in the off-drop sections, which sound more like Above and Beyond's ambient kind of stuff. It's really pretty, but beyond that, the song doesn't really offer much. After that is Song I Sing with Halion, which is another one that I was really looking forward to, and I'd say it lives up to the part decently well, though I feel like the instrumental could have been a little bit better. The only thing really carrying the song, in my opinion, is Halion's voice. The next three tracks after that, though, dive back into the radio pop type of sound, which at this point in the album was really confusing to me, considering I already listened to 14 tracks like that on the first side. I guess Always in collaboration with BT is a decent cut. I like the orchestral infusion in the song, and I think the main lead that's used in it, in the, I guess you'd say, drop, is pretty interesting. It's not something I've heard from Armin a lot in the past, but it's not really the most exciting or interesting thing either. I feel like it just stands out on this album because so much of the album is just recycled garbage. Turn It Up is pretty much just blah 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 2.0, and I mean that in the most literal sense possible because there is very little distinction between the two songs, from the vocals to the triplet bass. It's basically the same song. I don't know how else to put it. Revolution with Luke Bond and Kara is another one that I found to be particularly disappointing because, for one, it basically just sounds like a Hardwell track, like a Hardwell Blasterjaxx W&W kind of style festival tune. But secondly, because I've really liked some of Luke Bond's stuff in the past, Miles Away is fine. I guess I'd say it's one of the highlights on the album for me. It's really cool to hear Sam Martin's voice in a more trancy context. I think Armin manages to weave that together really nicely in a way that I guess I didn't really expect. And the album should have just ended there on a good note because honestly, Stick Up is just such an awkward place to leave listeners at the end of the album. It's like this supposed to be this big, fun, energetic festival tune, but then it just honestly ends up sounding like Blau's edit of Kernkraft 400 by Zombie Nation. To me, I don't know if you guys have heard that one or anything, but like a lot of the elements are strangely similar, especially the lead melody of this song sounds a lot like Kernkraft 400, and it feels like Armin is obviously going for that. This album overall is just so unoriginal, and that might not even be the most frustrating thing about it. This album is just so hard to listen to because it's so messy and all over the place. It doesn't seem like he knows what he's doing on either disc because there's some more dance-oriented tracks on the first half of the album, and there's more pop-oriented songs on the second half. I feel like the track list is almost just shuffled around because it really honestly makes no sense, and he's just kind of dragging you through all of these different styles for an hour and a half straight. It's not an experience worth experiencing. While I don't necessarily think Balance is the worst EDM album of the year, though it comes close with Quintino's album, it is really the most frustrating one for me. I would have been fine with an album that was just okay, but as an Armin fan, this album was straight up insulting, just a constantly pandering, disingenuous mess. For Balance, I am feeling a decent 2.5 out of 10. As always, if you guys haven't listened to this album yet and you'd like to, I have the Spotify link down in the description, and if you have listened to the album, make sure to let me know what you think down in the comments section. If you enjoyed this review and want to see more content like it, make sure to leave me a like and hit the subscribe button. And before I sign off, I would like to take a quick moment to shout out my sponsor, Audionamics. They're awesome. They make really cool tools for DJs, audio engineers, producers, doing largely sound isolation and audio separation. If you click the sponsor link down in the description below and you decide you want anything, I'll get a nice 10% kickback from it. So really, it's the best way to support my channel at the moment. And anyway, you guys are awesome, and I'll see you later. Peace.